Before we begin this morning prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. God, before anything else rushes in, before light pierces through the curtains and demands me to be ready, I want to come to you, not with a battle cry, not with a list, not even with hope that has energy. I come as I am, soft in the soul, still holding on to the hush of the night, not ready to rise in full, but deeply needing to be lifted. Not forced forward, not dragged by urgency, just lifted, gently, kindly, tenderly. Let this be the kind of morning where I don't have to jump into anything, where I'm allowed to exhale slowly, blink slowly, think slowly. Let this be the kind of start where your hands do the holding, not mine, because mine are tired. Mine have gripped too much, too tightly, and today, before I try again, I need to be reminded that you don't expect me to sprint out of stillness. You meet me right here, where I'm just beginning to open my eyes. You are not impatient. You are not annoyed by my slowness. You are the one who shaped the rhythm of rest into the very bones of creation. And you are not in a rush. Let your voice be the first one I hear, not my inner critic, not my to-do list, not yesterday's leftover noise. Let it be your breath, quiet but certain, that moves through the silence, not pushing, just surrounding, just being. You don't need to say anything dramatic. Just make yourself known in the peace that stays even when I don't know what's next. Because this morning I don't need a breakthrough. I don't need to conquer the day. I don't even need answers. I just need to feel you here. I need to remember that I can begin again, not with effort, but with trust. Trust that you are not waiting for me at the top of the mountain, but sitting beside me at the base, saying, "We'll go when you're ready," and not a moment sooner. So let my first movement not be ambition. Let it be grace. Let my first thought not be pressure. Let it be presence. Let my first action not be productivity. Let it be permission to start slowly, to walk gently, to live kindly with myself, with this body, with this, because you don't rush what you love. And I need to remember that you love me, not for how quickly I get up, not for how strong I appear, not for how efficiently I move, but because I am yours. Still sleepy, still vulnerable, still figuring it out, and that's enough for you to begin a new day with me. Hold my heart before you hold my schedule. Touch my spirit before I touch my phone. Soften the air around me before the world gets loud. Let the weight of the day wait. Let the next step wait. Just for this moment. Let it be enough that we're here together. Because if you are the morning light, then I want to rise like you do. Not all at once, but slowly, gently, with warmth, with quiet confidence, with a beauty that doesn't need to prove anything, only to be. The sun doesn't apologize for its softness before it's bright, and maybe I need to remember I don't need to shine to be worthy. I only need to be willing to be held by you. So, hold me here, God, right in this tender moment, this in-between, this holy hush before the world begins again. Help me not to rush past it. Help me not to feel behind before I've even started. Help me not to measure my worth by how together I look by 9 a.m. Let me feel the dignity of a gentle beginning. Let me feel the safety of your presence before the day dares me to be more than I am. And if today asks me to show up, help me show up slowly. If it asks me to carry, help me carry lightly. If it asks me to speak, help me speak kindly. And if it asks me to do nothing but heal, help me trust that even that is sacred. Because you are not waiting for me at the finish line. You are walking with me at the pace of compassion. And that changes everything. It changes how I breathe, how I move, how I trust, how I begin. God, lift me gently into this day. Not because I'm fragile, but because I'm learning a new strength, the strength of softness, the power of peace, the courage of starting small and staying kind. God, if you are still here, and I believe you are, then there's no part of this morning I have to carry alone. Not even this moment between waking and standing, between knowing and doing. There's something sacred here that I don't want to overlook. The moment when my heart hasn't yet hardened into urgency, when the day hasn't yet told me who to be. This is the space where I can still choose tenderness, and I want to choose it with you. You know how often I run too fast into a version of myself that is more performative than real. I know how easily I armor up, even before I've brushed my teeth, ready to face a world that has no time for slow souls. But you, God, are not that world. You are not the noise. You are not the pressure. You are the whisper beneath it. You are the pulse of peace. I can only feel when I stop reaching for control. And this morning I want to be quiet enough to feel you. No more forcing myself to be on. No more bracing myself for imaginary storms. Just a breath, just a small, holy breath that says, I'm still yours. I'm still here. And that's enough. Let my whole being soften, not as a weakness, but as a return to the me that knows how to live without proving, a return to the me that still trusts in invisible grace, a return to the me that doesn't measure the day by how many tasks I complete, but by how gently I walk through it, the me you remember, even when I forget her, the me you designed before I learned to rush, to hustle, to push past my limits, just to feel enough. Let me start today without bracing for impact, without anticipating failure, without assuming I'll disappoint someone. Let me start today like a flower unfolding under soft morning light, not because it has to, but because it's safe enough to, because it knows the sun isn't rushing it, because it knows growth is not performance, it's presence. And presence begins with you. I don't want to lose this moment. I don't want to miss the gift of this quiet because I was already somewhere else in my mind. I want to learn how to live where I am, to wake up to the life I'm actually in, not the one I'm worried I should be living, to open my hands, even if slow, to what is here, what is true, what is enough. So if I can't start this day with strength, let me start it with surrender. If I can't begin it with answers, let me begin it with honesty. And if I can't leap forward, let me simply lean into the truth that I am not behind. I'm just being, and being is not less than doing when it is rooted in you. God, be the steady breath under my scattered thoughts. Be the rhythm that reminds me that even slow beginnings are sacred. Be the softness I don't have to earn. Be the permission to move through this day without guilt for needing grace. And maybe this is the morning where I stop chasing a version of myself that was never mine to begin with. The always ready, always energized, always in control one. Maybe this is the morning I let her go and let someone softer take her place. The version of me who wakes up fragile but doesn't apologize for it, who speaks kindly to herself before she speaks to anyone else, who lets the warmth of your nearness be enough to rise. I don't want to begin this day by measuring how far I have to go. I want to begin it by noticing how deeply I'm loved, even here, even before I've done anything useful, even before I've smiled at anyone, even before I've made sense of anything. There is something radically healing in knowing that you, the creator of the day, do not need me to conquer it. You only ask me to walk with you through it, and that's a pace I can live with. That's a beginning I can trust. So keep my soul wrapped in gentleness today, even when the world speeds up. Help me move like water, not fire, shaping what I touch with patience, not pressure. Help me speak like wind, not thunder, real but not loud, clear but not cutting. Help me carry myself like someone who believes that God walks beside her, not above her with a stopwatch, because you don't time me, you accompany me, you don't measure me, you hold me. And maybe that's what makes this morning holy. Not the plans I have, not the energy I feel, not the certainty I crave, but the quiet awareness that you're here and you're not in a hurry. So I don't have to be God. I'm learning something that should have been simple, but somehow never was. That gentleness isn't the opposite of strength. That slowness isn't laziness. That beginning small isn't failure. It's sacred. This morning, I don't need a plan to fix my life. I just need enough softness to live it without flinching. I need to remember that I am still safe in your presence, not just when I feel confident or composed, but even now, in this unfinished hour of the morning, when I barely know how to show up. Let this be the kind of morning that heals something beneath the surface, something that didn't get a name, that always tightened in my chest when I woke up too fast. That quiet ache of being expected to move before I was ready. The invisible pressure to jump into action before I could listen. The unspoken belief that staying still meant I'd fall behind. But maybe that's not true anymore. Maybe it never was. Maybe you're not waiting for me to perform. Maybe you're simply waiting with me until I feel safe enough to rise. And I don't want to miss that. I don't want to rush past the healing just because the world calls it unproductive. I don't want to numb this moment with noise. I want to be here for it, even if it's quiet, even if it's tender, even if it's awkward, even if it doesn't give me the emotional high I sometimes crave to prove I'm okay. Because I don't need to be okay to be loved. I don't need to be enthusiastic to be held. I don't need to be radiant to be worthy of light. I just need to show up honestly. And I am. So if my eyes are slow to open, let my soul open first. If my limbs are slow to move, let my heart remember it's not behind. If my plans are slow to come together, let me believe that slowness doesn't scare you, that you move at the speed of what is real and what's real. This morning is that I'm tired of forcing myself to be more than I have the capacity to be. I'm tired of attaching my value to output. I'm tired of comparing my beginning to someone else's middle. I'm tired of pretending that gentle isn't enough. Let today be different. Not because everything changes, but because I do. Because I choose to speak to myself the way you speak to me, with kindness, with patience, with unwavering love. Because I choose to see my own soul the way you see it. Not as something to whip into shape, but as something to tend like a garden, slowly, with care, with presence.
I don't want to leap into this day. I want to settle into it.
I want to approach it like a musician approaching silence, not with urgency, but with reverence. I want to move into it like a dancer moves into stillness before the first step, not with tension, but with breath. I want to feel it before I try to shape it. I want to listen to it before I speak into it, because you're already here. And if you're here, then I can trust that whatever waits for me today has already passed through your hands. And if I forget, because I will, if I speed up again and start measuring my worth in tasks, in timelines, in how quickly I get back on track, remind me, gently, that I'm already on the path. That the path isn't somewhere else, with someone more capable. The path is here, in this soft opening, in this sacred permission to begin again with no shame. Let me carry this posture into the day, not just now, in this quiet prayer, but into the chaos that might come later, into the phone calls, the inbox, the misunderstandings, the inner voices that will tell me I'm behind. Let me answer them not with resistance, but with truth, the truth that I am not behind, I am here, and you are too. And that's not a detour, that's the holy beginning. God, help me notice the small sacred things today, The breath that didn't feel strained. The sip of water that calmed something invisible. The sun patch on the floor. The moment my body relaxed, without being told to, the unexpected kind word. The time I didn't push myself to smile, but did anyway, because grace was already there before effort. Help me catch the glimpses of heaven that don't shout, that only those moving slowly will see. And when I meet others today, in line at the store, in meetings, on the phone, in passing glances, help me treat them the way I needed to be treated this morning. Not as problems to solve, not as roles to fulfill, not as background noise to my plans, but as humans, soft humans. And try breathing, carrying their own quiet aches. May I meet them with gentleness. Because if I've been held gently, then I want to pass it on. I want gentleness to be more than a mood. I want it to be a language, a posture, a strength, a form of resistance against a world that moves too fast to feel. I want my life to speak softly and still be heard. I want to walk through today without losing my softness, even when it hurts, even when others don't understand it, even when I'm tempted to armor up again. But for now, I'm still here, still in the quiet, still in this holy hush where nothing is expected from me but breath, where the day hasn't yet wrapped itself around me, where I'm still free to choose how I rise. And I choose this, to be lifted, not pushed, to be embraced, not evaluated, to be slow and still worthy. God, lift me gently into this day, and as you do, let the softness stay, not just in this hour, but in every step forward, even if they're small, especially if they're small, because small steps in the right direction are still holy, and in your presence, even a whisper can move mountains. God, I'm learning to honor the miracle of waking up slowly, not just with my body, but with my soul. There are days when I leap into the morning like it's a race I already feel late for. But this isn't one of those days. This is a morning that asks for something gentler, something deeper than hustle, something quieter than ambition. This is a morning that begins not with movement, but with mercy, and I want to dwell in it for as long as I can, before the noise finds me, because there's a kind of strength in gentleness I've long overlooked. The kind that doesn't need to shout to be certain, the kind that doesn't need to rush to be meaningful, the kind that doesn't measure itself by productivity, but by presence. And I know I've spent years trying to earn rest by exhausting myself first. I've tried to justify slowing down only after burning out. But you, God, never asked me to live that way. That was the world's rhythm, not yours. Yours is slower, kinder, truer. Let me tune my heartbeat to that rhythm this morning. Not the panic of falling behind, but the peace of being exactly where I need to be. Not the sharp pace of proving, but the soft pulse of belonging. Belonging to this breath, this hour, this moment with you. There are things I used to believe I had to fight for: love, worth, peace, stability, and now I'm slowly understanding that they were never earned. They were offered. They were always mine in you. So why do I keep waking up like I'm behind? Like the day is a battlefield and I have to armor up before the first light touches my skin. Maybe the armor isn't mine to wear anymore. Maybe I can rise differently today, with open hands instead of clenched fists, with deep inhales instead of shallow gasps, with the quiet courage to stay soft, even when life demands hard edges. I don't want to rush toward meaning today. I want to meet it in every small thing. The still warm tea, the pause before checking my phone, the stretch of my body as it remembers how to inhabit itself. The first sunlight filtering through a window like a whispered promise. This is where I want to live today. Not in the chase, not in the checklist, but in these sacred in-betweens that the fast pace always skips. And if the world tells me I'm wasting time, I'll listen instead to you, because you never rushed what you loved. You let things unfold. You let time do its work. You walked, not ran. You wept, not hurried. You blessed the lilies and the sparrows and the Sabbath, not the speed. So why should I be faster than you? Teach me to live like one who is not afraid of stillness, like one who knows that nothing sacred ever blooms in a rush, that depth takes time, that clarity needs quiet, that healing needs slowness. Let me not just whisper these things to myself now, in the morning, but carry them through the midday and the moments that try to pull me out of rhythm. If I must make decisions today, let me make them from a place of grounded peace, not pressure. If I must lead or speak or give, let it come from overflow, not from depletion masked as responsibility. If I must be strong, let it be a strength softened by compassion, not hardened by self-denial. And if I must cry, and maybe I will, let it be a holy kind of release. Not shameful, not hidden, just a letting go, a letting down, a way of saying, I'm human and I'm held, because I am. Even when I forget, you're holding me in ways I'll never fully see. God, let today be shaped not by my drive, but by my dignity. Not by noise, but by nearness. Not by strategy, but by surrender. Not because I've given up, but because I've finally decided to trust that you are good enough to guide me at the speed of grace. Let me remember that softness is not something to apologize for. It's not the opposite of power. It is power, the kind that doesn't need to shout, the kind that listens, the kind that stays, the kind that carries without force. Let this morning leave an imprint on me, deeper than adrenaline ever could, a memory that I am allowed to begin slowly, that I am allowed to feel what I feel, that I am allowed to be human before I try to be impressive. And if all I do today is live from that place, if all I do is remain in a softness the world forgot, then I will have walked faithfully with you, because the quiet soul can still move mountains. The gentle voice can still speak life. The tender heart can still change everything it touches. So God, lift me gently, not just into the sunlight, but into the posture of love. The kind that sees the day not as a burden to survive, but as a gift to move through lightly. Not because I'm ignoring reality, but because I know I don't carry it alone. Let gentleness become my way forward. Let it become how I greet others, how I face problems, how I sit with my own fears, how I treat the part of me that still doubts, how I speak to the younger version of me that tried so hard to earn love with exhaustion. Let it become how I end this day too, not collapsed in burnout, but intact, still kind, still breathing, still because you were gentle with me when I didn't know how to be gentle with myself. And maybe today I finally start returning the favor. God, if there's one thing I want to carry with me now into the rising sun, into the opening demands of this day, is the memory of how you lifted me, not with force, not with instruction, not with judgment, but with gentleness. The kind of gentleness that doesn't ask questions or require explanations. The kind that understands without words. The kind that comes close, sits down next to the tired places in me, and says, we don't need to rush this. There's something healing in remembering that you didn't wait for me to get it together before you showed up. You came to me when I was still wrapped in quiet, still blinking through uncertainty, still unsure whether I had the strength to begin again. You didn't demand a smile. You didn't require resolve. You simply stood beside me, steady and unshaken, and made space for me to be soft. And now that I've remembered what that feels like, the strength of your nearness without pressure, I want to walk into this day with that same spirit. I don't want to forget it the moment the world becomes loud again. I don't want to trade it for urgency the minute someone expects more from me than I can offer. I want to stay rooted in this gentle strength that doesn't falter just because it's quiet. I want to let it reshape the way I move through today. Let me begin by being kind to the first version of myself that shows up, not the polished one, not the confident one, the real one, the version of me that is still in progress, still waking up, still needing reminders that she doesn't have to prove her worth. Let her be enough. Let her be held. Let her be seen, not as a draft, but as a worthy form of life, one that you delight in, one that you've already called. And from that space, from that deep, slow place of acceptance, let everything else flow. Let my words come from calm. Let my thoughts come from trust. Let my work come from enoughness. Let my interactions be less about impressing and more about truly connecting. Let me move through rooms without needing to fill them with noise or certainty. Let me bring peace because I've tasted it here. Let me reflect grace because I've received it freely. Let me listen with the same quiet that first taught me how to breathe again. Because now I know there is nothing passive about gentleness. It is the fiercest kind of resistance against self-neglect, against emotional numbness, against the toxic noise that says, only the loud and the fast and the bold are valuable. But you taught me otherwise. You showed me a different way to be strong. You showed me that the one who kneels is not weak. The one who pauses is not lazy. The one who forgives herself is not irresponsible. The one who begins slowly is not behind. So today, I choose to begin not with force, but with reverence, not with a roar, but with a whisper, not with a command to get it together, but with a prayer to stay open, open to grace, open to help, open to moments I didn't plan, and emotions I didn't script, and beauty I might have missed if I moved too fast. I want to live a day that is aware of you, aware of others, aware of what's quietly blooming beneath the surface of all this living. And if the world doesn't applaud my pace, that's okay. I'm not walking for their approval. I'm walking with you, at your side, at your rhythm. And I trust that if you are truly beside me, I cannot be behind. So when I feel the urge to rush, slow me. When I feel the panic of comparison rise, ground me. When I hear the inner voice that still tries to shame me into performing silence it with gentleness, the kind of gentleness that you have shown me 1,000 times, the kind that doesn't just comfort but rewrites what I believe about being loved. And if the day gets away from me, if the softness fades, and I find myself wrapped again in anxiety or noise or tiredness, let me return here, not with guilt, but with gladness. Let me remember that I can begin again at any moment. That softness is always available, that I am never too far from peace if I know where to listen. God, you lifted me today, not with answers, but with kindness. You didn't fix everything. You didn't give me a 10-point plan. You simply offered presence, and it was enough. It is enough. It will be enough for this day, and for everyone that follows. Because once I've been lifted gently, I never want to go back to the harshness I once called normal. So as I go, let me leave nothing behind but what is heavy. Let me carry nothing forward but what is true. Let me move, not with pressure, but with permission. Permission to be whole, even when I'm quiet. Permission to be strong, even when I'm slow. Permission to be radiant, even when I'm still waking up. And let others feel this gentleness in me, not just for their sake, but so they too might remember a different way to rise. So they too might feel seen by the God who doesn't wait at the top of the ladder, but kneels at the foot of the bed, saying, "You don't have to climb, just take my hand."